Right. Hello. Our next presenter is Michael Allen. He's the President and Chief Executive Officer of StrikePoint Gold, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol STKXF and on the TSXV under the symbol SKP. Welcome back, Mike.
All right. Hope everybody can hear me. Camera's focused there. Away we go. Talking today about StrikePoint Gold. I took over as CEO of the company in November of 2022. I've been focused on pivoting the company into Nevada, predominantly focused in the Walker Lane. We're about the fourth largest landholder in the Walker Lane. Number one is a private guy. Number two is Kinross. Three is Anglo Gold. And four is us. So we've got two land packages. We're going to be dominantly focusing on our Hercules Gold project today, and move forward from there. Forward-looking statements, as everybody says, read these at your leisure. Why StrikePoint and why Nevada? I am a geologist by background. I've done all the wonderful things that geologists do. I've spent time in the Arctic Ocean or on the Arctic Ocean in February. It's memorable. I would recommend it for a vacation spot. But when you look at the business of working in the States in mineral exploration, look for places that are fundable. And this is a slide from Joe Mazumdar at Exploration Insights, and highlighting the U.S. The U.S. is a very stable jurisdiction in terms of the funding for mineral exploration. It really doesn't vary year per year in the ability to fund projects and go forward. And that's actually a key thing for the junior mining sector, is your ability to fund the projects, raise the capital to keep the project moving forward. I like to say a junior mining company is a lot like a shark. If it's not moving, it's dead. And the ability to raise money, raise capital, to be able to deploy it is important. So being in the pardon me, in the USA is a good place to be. Obviously, the USA has also other benefits: tier one jurisdiction, stable government. You look over at the countries over on the red dots over in the right, not stable countries, not good financing opportunities, and so you get yourself into trouble if you were a junior explorer working there. You want to be in the countries that are stable. You want to be rule of law, and obviously the USA checks the boxes for that. I've been working in Nevada's Walker Lane since about 2010, just over 15 years now. So it's been a good place for me to work. As I said, we're the fifth largest landholder in Nevada, and I've had a lot of success. I've been able to keep a team together working in Nevada, and we've delivered a lot of wins for shareholders. It's a bit of a busy map. We've got our two projects highlighted, and then some of the more recent or highlighted projects in Nevada. I've done about $250 million worth of business within the Walker Lane, buying and selling different assets. Most notably, it's an interesting story. I was involved with the Sterling project, which is down by Beatty. We found that asset in a vehicle called Northern Empire. We bought it for $10 million. 16 months later, we sold it for $120 million. We're mining. That actually kicked off a renaissance in the Walker Lane. Back in the 70s, a gentleman by the name of Pierre Lassonde said there's nothing big to be found in the Walker Lane. And we were able to do the transaction. We were one of the first juniors to really do a transaction in and out of the Walker Lane. And that transaction kicked off what I'll call the Great Beatty staking crush. And Anglo Gold moved in, took out just about everybody, and has subsequently made a 16 million ounce discovery near Beatty. It's called the Silicon Merlin Project. It's one of the biggest discoveries in North America, probably since the 70s, and it's probably on its way to 49 ounces of consolidated district. So Pierre Lassonde made a statement in the 70s, and in 2020, 50 years later, we're proving him wrong, and that subsequently the area is getting a lot more. I had this project once before. Jim said that you want to be the third person to own a project. This is me the second time. So I had it once before. I sold the project back in about 2020 for $25 million. I bought it back in August of last year for $250,000 Canadian. So it was the right thing to do. So what is the Hercules Gold Project, our flagship asset? Forgive the geologist in the room. It is a low sulfidation epithermal, which is most of the big deposits in the Walking Lake fit into that bucket. We're about an hour outside of Reno. I have a wonderful story of taking some of the most experienced Nevada geologists out to Hercules for the first time, and them looking at me and saying, "We've never heard of this. I've never been here. What could this possibly be?" And then shocking the hell out of them with saying, "Wow, this is actually pretty good." It's similar to the Comstock. Comstock is another low sulfidation epithermal, got a 100 square kilometer land package. And importantly, to tie in again with what Jim was saying earlier, there's a lot of data that we inherited for this project. There's about 300 drill holes in this from various operators, and it shows a large gold system. So one of the things that we did when I had this project back before, we redid the geological interpretation, came up with a new geological model, and we got the project to predict. And that's the first step towards building resources, is really getting a good geological understanding and being able to target your holes so consistently you can make hits after hits after hits. And so that's a good thing for us. Plan of operations is in hand, so we've got a good ability to take the project to the next level. It's sort of an advanced exploration project right now, but we can start to get ourselves into drilling out the meat and potatoes and actually providing resources with that large plan of operations permit. We also have upside to the project as well, particularly in the southern part of the project, and those are things that we'll talk about later on, with 45 additional geophysical, geochemical targets to be tested. So there's a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of work that's been done on the project. Just an overview, it is a big project. It's about 100 square kilometers, 1,323 claims, about 100 square kilometers. There's a few patents in there as well. What attracted me to this project when I first looked at it was the scale of the alteration in the mineralization. It really is impressive when you get out on the ground and take a look at it. If you ever take a moment on Google Earth, the project's located near Dayton. It's up in the Pine Nut Mountains. And you can just look at it on Google Earth and you can see the alteration extends for miles. There's a lot of workings, old scratchings around. This is probably the source of the first gold ever discovered in Nevada, which is the Dayton Plasters. This is upstream from the Dayton Plasters, and it was also, so that's probably where that original discovery of gold in Nevada came from. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. And again, it's not just the targets in the north where we've been drilling, but there's a lot more in the south that needs to be emphasized and worked on. We did a drill program this spring. The key things that we came out of this was that our geological model that we came up with remains intact. When we tested the new geological interpretation, we were able to consistently get mineralization. So we went 7 for 7 in our drilling, and most importantly, it was predictable. There's near surface, fairly high grade stuff, but there's also some very substantial intervals in that. And hole 5 is highlighted there. It's 117.35 meters, 0.45 grams per ton gold. Near surface, relatively have to account for terrain here. with a little bit of silver. It's dominantly oxide gold, so near surface oxide, and you're starting, some of these intercepts start at zero, so your rate, kicking your pre-strip is kicking the little bit of sand and gravel off and getting going. The other thing that was really important with our work this year is two of the most significant intercepts, which is hole 5 and hole 6. You get wide, thick intercepts of mineralization on the southern extremes of the drilling. And that shows that it's open for expansion further to the south. And then the other thing, I was just down on site, is you can actually, you see with the new interpretation that everything is actually open for expansion. The historical interpretation essentially drilled everything backwards. So the project was a random number generator. You either really hit the mineralization or you really didn't. And nobody could really understand why until we inverted the interpretation. And then we start to get that consistency. We put about 20 holes, actually 26 holes into the new interpretation, and we've gone 25 for 26. So getting gold mineralization to consistency is the first step towards building resources. There's a saying that God created gold and the devil spread it around. If you can figure out what the devil did, you're on to something. And this being mining central USA, it's a good place to be. These near surface oxide gold grades are comparable with mines that are in production. Narrow, high-grade sweeteners give you some potential of saying, okay, these things are going to be able to give you a target, a starter pit, and then be able to bulk out once you get yourself going. So a lot of exciting things, but we're going to have to do a lot of drilling and create a lot of news for the project. One of the other things that we did this year was an exploration target, and it's sort of a new thing that you're starting to see companies doing, and it gives a sort of I would call it a low-level resource. Conceptually, what could this be if it all came together? And so it's almost a resource without any thought for economics, but you get an idea of it, and so you get grade ranges. And this gives us a grade range. The work that we've done so far gives us a grade range between 0.48 and 0.63 grams per ton, very comparable to other deposits, mines in Nevada, and somewhere around between 819 and 1.02 million ounces. So you're in that range where you're starting to get into the sweet spot where you're starting to head yourself towards development. Again, the deposits are open for expansion, and what I'm looking at here in the slide, the Cliffs target is the left one. That's where we had hole 6, 117 meters of 0.45. Again, it's the southernmost hole that we did with the new interpretation. You stand where that intercept hit on the outcropping, sort of rough yourself in, and you can see another several hundred meters of veins sticking out of the mountainside behind you and into the valley and on. And there are underground surface samples where they're multi-gram further to the south. So there is a lot of evidence that it's open for expansion, but the entire Cliffs target needs to be re-drilled to the north. And then you even run out of historic drilling. So there's a lot of expansion potential. And again, this is big. Similarly, on Hercules, the highest grade is in the southern point, where the portion of the target project, whatever you want to call it. We hit a big intercept there, the furthest south that we've ever gone. So it expands further to the south, and it also needs to be redrilled out to the north. So a lot of work to be done. And then we haven't really even talked about the southern part of the project. This is again another look at the exploration model. We just run out of data on the southern part of Cliffs and Hercules, which are there. I haven't got a pointer to work with here, but it's the southern two that are sort of paired up side by side. Hercules being the one that has a little bit of red in it, Cliffs being the one to the west of it. They're open to the south. They just run out of data, and then they need to be re-drilled to the north. The other thing that's important to realize, the new interpretation is that these are ring structures, and you can see that there's some obvious gaps where even with an exploration model, there just isn't drilling. So there's a lot of expansion even to the north, push it to the south. The southernmost blob there is called the Sirens target. So there was some historical drilling that was done out there. We were able to put some tons in the exploration model around it, but it's open for expansion as well. There's over 40 undrilled targets on this project, so we've got a lot of work to do, but there is that multi-million ounce potential. It's a big land package in Nevada, multi-million ounce potential. This is something that the mid-tiers and the majors are starting to take a look at. We're starting to get interest from big co wanting to come out and take a look at this thing because they've never heard about it, but it's right in their backyard. In terms of the exploration, project's got thump. And when I say thump, it can actually produce some pretty significant gold grades in terms of surface samples. A lot of the sampling has been confined to the north because it's easier access. It's a long way to get into the southern part of the project, but you're getting 3 ounce or 2.5 ounce surface samples coming out of this. You do get visible gold, which is important in the epithermal gold space. The visible gold you start to see in the bigger deposits. Round Mountain, which is a 15 million ounces of production, 33 million ounces of resources and reserves. It has visible spectacular stuff. Silicon, which I talked about earlier, 16 million ounce resource that Anglo's put up. You do get visible gold there. We're starting to see visible gold become discovered, I guess is the word, at Hercules. So it's starting to lead us to believe that it's heading towards that larger end of the spectrum in the epithermal gold sphere. The alteration extends well to the south. And there's a big fault system, and the guys have been working hard on the ground, mapping out probably our next exploration target. There's a target area that you can take a look on the slide. It's called Pony Meadows, and that target is again one of these ring structures. And when I was last down on site, the guys were showing me the maps of what they've been doing. There's a vein there that you can pan visible gold out of. It's 2.6 kilometers long. So start to think about that in the context of the Comstock, which is 20 miles to the west. You start to see the scale of what we're trying to do here. So it's an exciting project. It's got both the I'll call it the backbone of value, or the backstop of value. It's got that exploration target, that sort of defined number in the northern part of the project, but it's also got a really good exploration upside to the south. Also of note, in the southern part of the project, there's an inlier claim. That's a past producer held by Newmont called Como. There's the donut hole inside of us. And how to say this, we're both looking over the fence at each other. I guess is the best way to say that right now. They're trying to figure out what we've got. They're trying, and we're trying to figure out what they have. So it's interesting. It's a nice place to be. Newmont is actually active again in Nevada. A few years ago, they did the deal to create Nevada Gold Mines. There was a JV that Newmont created with Barrick, where they put all their operations together, and Newmont exited the state. And so at that point in time, I was actually trying to buy that empire because Newmont's not. Newmont has subsequently acquired Newcrest, and they inherited the Nevada exploration. And so they're back. And this is outside, the Hercules Gold Project is outside of the sphere of influence of Nevada Gold Mines JV, so Newmont can do things on them. They're very interested. They're active. They're aggressive. They've got JVs with other juniors in the state where they're spending money. So it's a good neighborhood to be, and we've got them surrounded. Talking about some of the targets to the south, there has been some drilling, and we've got our permits in place for us to go as well. Sirens, historically, that was a spin out of Frontier. There was a group that had that. They did some drilling back in the day. I think it was about 2008 actually. They were looking for a Como style target. What they got was more of a bulk disseminated type result. They had a small land packet and they walked away from it. But it's significant numbers. 38 meters, 0.64. Most importantly, ending in 0.85. And then there was another hole, 25, 26 meters, 0.68, ending in 0.91. So you don't know what the full potential of that hole is. Those holes are. Oddly enough, one of my geologists that is working for me did the drilling on that project back in 2008. Well, and is dying. So we've got an opportunity to build on the people that have worked the project for us. Pony Meadows further to the south, we talked about this earlier. You guys have mapped out a 2.6 kilometer vein at surface. I'll show you some pictures of it where you can pan gold. It's quite an interesting opportunity. There has been some references that people have drilled it, but we've never even been able to find a drill pad. This is Nevada. Google Earth does work well for looking around for things. Not a lot of evidence that has ever been drilled. So we're looking forward to giving it a shot sometime this summer or into the fall. Como comments. This is the extension off of the Newmont ground, and it's left here. There is some historical drilling that's been done. There's a trend that leads onto our ground. And we've got some high-grade samples just at the border of the Newmont package. So there's a structure there that needs to be tested. We're hopefully going to get out into that during the summer. These things are permitted under notices, which take about 2 to 3 weeks to get it in Nevada. So they're the small permits. In terms of the pretty pictures, Sirens is the top left. You can see the visible gold grains within the pan concentrate. Also, you get that at Pony Meadows on the right. There's a gold grain there. The Telephus vein is on the eastern side of the Hercules target. It's part of the north and the Hercules target itself. The black mineral in the lower two photographs is sulfur salt, silver minerals, and that again is something towards the larger end of the silver selenites, the larger end of the epithermal systems. You get those sorts of minerals, and so there's more evidence that this is trending towards being a large epithermal gold discovery in Nevada. I'll talk quickly. I got about 2 minutes and 20 seconds about our Cuprite project in Nevada. I've got 5 minutes. Pardon me? Pardon me? Oh, I do have some time. Okay, thank you. Our Cuprite project in the southern part of the state. This is actually an interesting story. This is the first project that I put into StrikePoint. It's about 3 hours from Las Vegas. It's just up north of Beatty. All these wonderful things. There's an interesting history to it. In the U.S., there was the thought at one point in time of doing the Yucca Mountain, which is a nuclear waste deposit where all the nuclear waste in the state was going to get stored underground indefinitely. And they had planned out a train route to bring material in. And so along that train corridor, they sterilized all the ground, not open for mineral exploration. Okay, fine, whatever. This is what needs to be done to solve the problem. That Yucca Mountain as a idea ended, the ground became open for staking, and we were able to acquire it. The reason for acquiring it is because it looks exactly like the silicon deposit, the 16 million ounce discovery that we had earlier, that we discussed earlier. So it was a good target to look at, and so we acquired it. So our ground here is the yellow, and there's, of note, there's that blue inlier there. The blue inlier was a gentleman who had those claims since the 1960s. He's a very interesting individual. Nevada. he went off to somewhere and got a dentistry degree, which remains his hobby to this day. His business is building skyscrapers. Very interesting person. He optioned the property to a group that's local here in New York. It's Electric, Thomas Kaplan's group. And the rumor at PDAC, which I haven't been able to confirm, was they were going to do 25,000 meters of drilling on the blue pit within the heart of us, donut hole inside. If they have any luck, where are they going to go? We've got them surrounded. There's no flat spots on the ground, and we've proven through our drilling, we did 5 holes into it, 4 of which came back with reportable gold in it, that the system is gold bearing. So potentially this could be the next silicon, and we just have to wait to see what electric. So there's something interesting to be done here. We're going to hold it while we focus on Hercules. Hercules is a bit more exciting, near surface oxide gold, but we continue to watch the Cooperite project quite closely. So it's something that we've done. And interestingly, Electrum came in and did the deal knowing that we had that package. They willingly stuck their head in. They know that they're going to take their shot, and we'll see what happens. But if it becomes the next silicon, in terms of management, we spent a lot of time with me discussing my history in the Walker Lane. The 2 other sort of main figures within the company are one is the executive chairman. It's a gentleman by the name of Sean Coonston. His day job is running Dolly Bird. So Dolly's a Golden Triangle explorer. They're doing very well up on their projects in there. And the other is a fellow by the name of Adrian Fleming. I've known Adrian since going up to Hope Bay and freezing my arse off in the spring of 2000 when it was 65 below at the Hope Bay camp on the edge of the Arctic Ocean. We've done several companies together, and Adrian is a wonderful, interesting person. Most notably, he recently was part of the Greenheart Gold. They got taken out by G Mining, and she's had multiple successes. Before, Adrian and I have worked together on multiple projects. He's sort of the technical driver or technical director of the company. Lots of fun to work. In terms of the share structure, when we did the Hercules acquisition last fall, we rolled the stock back. So we have 41.6 million shares issued and outstanding. Options and warrants are there. Market cap is probably Canadian, about $5 million right now. This needs to be updated. We actually recently did a deal to sell one of our projects in BC, so cash and marketable securities is about 1.6 this morning. So that's where we're at. The major shareholders are Pathfinder and Eric Sprott. Pathfinder came in because they've made a lot of money with me. They're a large shareholder of Northern Empire. They had a very successful ride there. They were a shareholder of Eclipse when I helped break this project before they had a successful ride there. And so their position, they're about 9.9% of the company, is a bet on me. And it's sort of an interesting compliment. Somebody is willing to invest their dollars knowing marketly and what I'm capable of doing for shareholders. So it's a bit freaky. I won't lie to have people put that sort of faith and put that sort of money into my ideas, but it is also a compliment and a testament to what I've meant to create shareholder value in the past. I am the 5th largest shareholder. It sort of gets a bit muddled after that. I'm the 5th largest shareholder. Sean is the 6th largest. Then it's either Paulo Santos, the CFO, or Knox Henderson. And then the remaining top 7 of the top 10 are the management and directors. So it's not a big position, StrikePoint is a mature company. It was created back in the 80s. We own collectively about 4% of the company, but it is, for me, it's real money that I've got invested in the company. Part of the fact of this being a mature company is all the founders' shares, the penny paper, the 0.001 cent million share positions are gone. That's all been dealt with. The money that management has put into the company is real money, real checks, and so it's testament to our belief in the company. Information, KH at StrikePoint Gold. One more, and we've got a break coming up next.
Any questions for Michael? One back here.
Yeah, Mike, going back the Newmont property that was in the middle there, did I understand correctly that that used to be an historic mine?
It was. It's a past producer. It's called Como. And Newmont got that piece of property when they bought this company back in 2010. That was part of the land package that came in when they did the acquisition of King.
Okay, was there anything that came out of the historical data from that mine that would indicate what you have around it?
Yeah. There is a data package that's out there. There's a series of drill holes back to it. There's a series of drill holes west of the past producer that come out to the property boundary that show intercepts coming on out to the west from the mine, going right to the property boundary, and then we've got some surface samples right at the property boundary that are 3, 4, 5 grams at surface, and show that trend continues. There's also, if you continue that trend further to the west, you get another past producer called Q, a micro producer. He produced about 60,000 ounces back in the late 80s.
Thank you.
One quick question. Thank you, by the way, for the presentation. Can I drive my truck up to the north end of that property where you've got 2.5 houses and fill it up?
It's just possible. I would. Sure. You might not get your truck out of there, but you can try filling it up.
I have a question. Thanks for the presentation. Anecdotally, today the price of gold is at $3,200.
Yeah.
1 year ago is considerably less. If you think about the conversations you've received or calls you've received from people you don't know, institutions as well as maybe high net worth individuals, can you comment anecdotally, maybe on a relative basis, are you getting new calls from people today versus 12 months ago, last 60, 90 days since the price of gold has popped, or you see no difference?
There is, I would say that the difference that we're seeing is we're starting to see seniors getting more into it, and the sort of retail or high net worth. That's been mostly the amount of calls that we've been getting. Nevada is one of those premier jurisdictions. There's the mining role that isn't working in Nevada, so they see what we've got, see the rock, the potential of it all, and then they'll see, okay, let's make the phone calls, get ourselves up to the CAs. That would be where I would see the action right now.
So you are assigning more CAs in recent weeks with seniors or medium-sized companies?
Good presentation. So you seem to have a really nice land package, as you have told us. Are you, to create your shareholder value, are you making your dots bigger, connecting your dots, or creating more dots within that land package? What's your strategy? Oh, way oversimplification. And I'll give you a 30-second stance. No, I'm just kidding.
It actually, I think we've got enough dots. There's 40 new additional targets to I think that focus would be in the next while. There's And then in the south, it becomes more of a main lot. The Pony Meadows was essentially the same lot you guys want to have surface. That's a fairly big dot. And so now you've got to articulate dot. Now take geophysical target to a geochemical map target, and now it needs to go to control target. Actually sit down and precisely define for you guys how we would develop this and what we expect the result is.
Mike, we got a couple questions from our online audience. The first one is, when do you hope to have a 43101?
We do have a 43101 on it. So associated with the exploration target, there is a 43101 report on file. That came out, grossly speaking, EDC of this year, so March, April.
Right. Thank you. And the other question is, what are your objectives for the next 12 months?
My objective for the next 12 months, again, like Ari's question, sort of depends on where you are. But the northern part of the property, I'd like to see more done with using the new exploration model on the targets that we have. They're big, they're open, they're now predictable. I think that in terms of also for the company, a goal would be to get into the south, the Homo Comets, the Pony Meadows, the Sirens, and really start to articulate the market, the scale of the mineralization we're seeing all throughout this 100 square kilometer land package.
Okay, that's all the time we have. We're going to regather here at 10:45. Everybody's can break here and take advantage of the bathrooms as well as coffee and tea out there. Thank you.